So here's a short podcast on the gender inequality within India. We'll look at what the gender inequalities that exist are, the impacts of gender inequality, particularly on women, and the light at the end of the tunnel. What evidence is there for changing norms and strategies to address gender inequality in India? So India is a heavily populated country on the continent of Asia, seeing economic growth of late as GDP is rising, a big shift in employment sector from primary to more tertiary based industry, but it does remain way down in the global gender gap index, 114th out of 142 countries. And on the UN's gender inequality index, it ranks 135th out of 187. So there is a big issue with gender inequality in India. The gender inequalities that exist in India range from how women are seen and perceived. So the role is very much to stay at home, look after children, fulfilling domestic chores, keeping the household neat, tidy, and well cared for. As part of the problem of this, I suppose, is within the Indian Parliament. So in the Lok Sabha lower parliament, there are only 11% of women within this parliament, and perhaps a lack of women at the top of the parliament is not helping change laws further down. Within education, within the classroom, there are 70% of girls which attend primary school, but this figure reduces significantly at secondary school, and we can see there's much less girls in the classroom than there are boys. Though interestingly, two of the adults, the teachers, teaching assistants in the classroom, are female. Perhaps it is this lack of education which results in so few women going on to get employment, as they're seen to stay at home and look after children. They face a lot of discrimination within employment, having limited access to opportunities. There is also a lot of discrimination in the workplace against women, with only 25% of married women returning to work after childbirth in Delhi. So there are lots of impacts of this gender inequality on women around India. Slave labour continues to be an issue, and often it is women forced into slave labour. It could be forced labour, forced marriage, and often it's sexual exploitation too. It's estimated that 14.3 million people, mostly women and girls, were subject to modern slavery in India in 2014. Other things include the maternal mortality rate. So India is a very risky area for maternal mortality rates. They're very high there. This is particularly true amongst the rural poor, and there's a high infant mortality rate there, 43 per 1,000 live births. Another issue is the idea of honour killings, where women are killed by family members for not agreeing to any arranged marriages or not conforming with the gender norms of that particular area. Often women are subjected to violence, and indeed, according to UNICEF, 52% of women in India think it's justifiable for a man to beat his wife, which clearly won't change the picture moving forward. There are dowry payments too within arranged marriages, with marriage being used by the husband to obtain property and assets from his wife and her family, and this again has been made illegal, and with 8,233 dowry-related deaths in India in 2012, it continues to be a problem. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There has been acts passed, laws in Parliament to prohibit the use of dowries, and there are a range of other laws set up by the Indian government with support from the United Nations and bodies such as CEDAW, Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. Other laws that has been set up was the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act in 2005, the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act in 2006. As well as government strategies across the whole country, there have been individual solutions, such as the Safe City project in Delhi. This is working in partnership with the United Nations, and they set up areas where women could go and talk about any issues they were facing, such as domestic violence, discrimination in the workplace, and they felt that they were in a safe area and willing to talk about those problems with an aim to finding a solution. In 2014, the Delhi police increased the number of women police officers on the city in response to mapping crimes against women, and they found that increasing number of women in the police force increased the number of crimes reported against women, and therefore they could do something about it. Other strategies include launching an anti-trafficking portal, expanding the anti-trafficking police, and providing accommodation for women within the border of India and Bangladesh who were subject to trafficking and exploitation there.